Here's a Lee Craft house on the left. There's two more Lee Craft houses side by side coming up on the left. This one on the corner happens to be where the provost marshal was located during the Union occupation. Now, what that means is they're going to allow you to leave town. The Union soldiers will let you leave, but in order to do that, you've got to come and get a pass. And so they just want to know who you are, where you're going, when you're expected back. So they're just trying to keep track of who's who and what they're up to. Take a mental picture of this house on the right, because I want to tell you something about it here a little bit later. That one was on our homes tour one year. It's quite a house. We can't see up here on top, but some of these ceilings on these porches are painted a light blue. Now, maybe that's Carolina blue, but in the old days, that color blue was thought to repel insects and evil spirits. So if Carolina's playing Duke, maybe that's what happens. The Carolina blue in the stands helps repel those evil Duke spirits. And I guess that makes sense, the Blue Devils, right? Back on Turner Street here, this is one of our highest buildings in town, a skyscraper here on the right. Missing some shingles up there. You can kind of guess what happened there. That was built as a female seminary. What that means is they're not training young ladies for the ministry, but rather they are training them, giving them early training for further schooling that would take place in one of several schools here in Beaufort. And then this two-story brick building down here on the right is the Masonic Lodge, and it was built about the same time. Oh, that was pleasant. Same time as Fort Macon. If you look at the plaque there, you see 1837. Built also by the same brick masons that worked on Fort Macon. So they're working on the fort during the daytime, and then by torchlight down here at night, they're building the lodge hall. Now, kind of diagonally to the right, this is currently the courthouse. I said earlier, this is the county seat of Carteret County. The earliest part of the courthouse here was built about 1906 or 7. We actually have a courthouse on our Welcome Center site. It's a 1796 courthouse. What we have determined here fairly recently is that it's the oldest remaining wooden courthouse in North Carolina. Lots of live oak trees here on the courthouse lawn. And then over here to the left is a monument to North Carolinians, Confederate war dead from North Carolina. Over 40,000 North Carolinians lost their lives during the Civil War. That's 40,000 of a total of over 600 and some thousand. Some say about 622,000. Being the grand total of casualties during the Civil War. Off to your right over there, if you look kind of over your shoulder, that is Purvis AME Chapel. Now, before it was Purvis Chapel, it was the Methodist Church. And it's the earliest church building here. Built about 1820. So built as the Methodist Church, became the Purvis AME Chapel. The Methodist moves further up the street up there. That's the current Methodist Church that you see up there on the right. And up here on the left, second from the corner, is the house where General Burnside set up shop during the Union occupation. There it is right there. Now we have a number of places here. Now you might see a horse or two or more over there across the way. Part of that island over there, that barrier island, is called Town Marsh, and the other part is called Carrot Island. And the horses over there were actually put there by Dr. Fulcher in the 1950s. So you've heard about horses in this area. Probably what you've heard about are the ones on Shackleford Banks that are descendants of horses that were pretty much dropped off during shipwrecks of Spanish galleons hundreds of years ago. This building on the left, once upon a time, not too long ago, was the post office. Now it's town hall. Before that, it was the lot on which this nice two-story house sat that's today up here behind the stone wall. There was a Dr. Duncan that lived there. And the government wanted to have a post office in Beaufort, and so they came over and looked around, and they decided they really liked that corner lot. The only problem was this nice house was sitting there, so you know how that works. They really liked it, so they really took it. Yeah, they got it. So then the idea was, what are we going to do about the house? The family had to make a decision. Dr. Duncan was up in years and kind of frail in health. They decided, obviously, to move it, and they moved it with him in there. Some said he was actually bedridden. Can you imagine if you were lying in your bed, you look out the window and you see your backyard just kind of moving from side to side there? If you see any horses, just
Right there. Past one.
Oh, okay. We're straight across. Yeah, okay, there you are. That's good. I'm glad you got to see one. This is Marsh Street. A couple things to point out here. We have a couple of houses on Marsh Street that were built on this street, but built facing the water. Now think about it again. No seawall out here. So water would come back towards where we are now on a frequent basis. So the Blair house here on the left with the turret on top face the water. And so then you see what happens. Along come some other folks that want to also live on Marsh Street, and they build houses to block the water view. And so somewhere along the way, the owners of this property decided to turn the house around to face the water. Oh, the street, I'm sorry. And then the Rumley house right here on the right was turned around in 1992, so fairly recently. You all know magnolia trees when you see them, don't you? Do you know how messy they are?
Yes, but they're southern.
They're southern and they're very pretty, but they are very messy. And then the house here on the left was built at least in part with lumber from a shipwreck, cypress lumber, we think.